Good Show, episode 3. I'm here with Whitey Ford from, where are you from, Whitey?
Conway, New Hampshire.
Now, you're originally from Westchester, Pennsylvania, correct?
Yes.
And how'd you get, what was it like growing up? What music did you appreciate in Westchester, Pennsylvania?
Usually it'd be about like heavy metal, some rap, some hip hop. Then I come up here and I got up into the rap.
Now, how'd you get into, you said you still call yourself a juggalo, and even though you listen to dubstep.
Yep.
What got you into the Insane Clown Posse, Twisted, and all the Psychopathic Records artists?
Honestly have to say Bang Pow Boom.
Bang Pow Boom. So you would be what the old school juggalos would call a newbie. How do you feel about being called a newbie by the people who've been around since Carnival of Carnage, and even some of the people who've been around since the Wraith era?
Don't affect me much.
So even though you came around during this time, did you ever listen to the old school Joker cuts, the first 6?
Not that I can remember, but one of my old favorites would have to be My Axe.
It's a good track. I like my Axe. Now, so you're not familiar with, like, the track listings on Malenko or anything like that?
No.
But you still consider yourself a juggalo?
Yep.
You're still a fan of the Insane Clown Posse? Did you hear any tracks from Mighty Deathpot by any chance?
Nope.
No tracks by Mighty Deathpot. So what exactly kept you interested, other than Bang Pow Boom, what was it that kept you interested in the Insane Clown Posse and the Juggalos?
I'd say the music, because the lyrics, they were not used to it. It's not really what I was used to listening to. So the lyrics kind of reached out to me.
Which songs, specifically?
I'd say like My Axe.
Which was not on Mighty Deathpot.
Verily. Bang Pow Boom.
Now, a lot of the old school juggalos don't even consider Bang Pow Boom and Mighty Deathpot Joker cards. Like what Test Dummy 22 was talking about. He was saying, I don't even consider them joke cards, I'll call them joke cards. This was all about his opinion. But if ICP were to state as a fact that, yeah, no, this is the second deck of the joke cards, and we're later on going to release what you would think of as the Wraith, and we're going to do it differently for the second deck, so it's all going to come to end with death. Does that make any sense to you at all?
No, but then again, everybody has their own opinions on music and what they like to listen to.
Right, but, CPN was talking about how we should aspire to please to please ICP, keep them up at their pedestal, as you will, to look up at them with such honor, and stay down here and keep them up there, because it's both necessaries in all society to have that. But if ICP were to come out and say something like, I'm gonna be down with the clown till I'm dead in the ground, and someone's going, yeah, absolutely, but they're sitting there questioning these guys' logic that we have to actually look up to them. It seems like a bit of a contradiction between two people who call themselves juggalos.
Yeah.
So, pretty much what we're hearing is that ICP has a very loyal fan base, identified by the FBI as gang members, but there seems to be a lack of understanding could be because ICP hasn't let out a table of all these rules and things like that, of the things that they believe in. They put them in music. They have their interviews, and they have their seminars.
Yep.
But how come they don't have like if these people are loyal like this? The old school juggalos talk about the family kids, and the family kids have their 13 commandments. Seems like the juggalos have their own commandments by the sounds of it, wouldn't you say? It's just not spoken of, so it's very difficult to have a reaction with juggalos, family kids in the same manner, because they're all going to be treated differently. That just sounds like regular human beings to me.
Yep.
So you now listen to dubstep.
Yep.
And your hat, it's Dead Mouse?
Yep.
But it says Demau 5.
Yeah.
What, is that a play on words, or what is that?
No, it's just basically how he spells it because I guess the 5 is supposed to look like an S.
Looks like a clear 5 to me. Let's show them this. Let's make sure that people can. It's backwards, but that looks like a 5, doesn't it? That's what I thought. Yeah, it's a 5. But there's all this. You're going to be ignored, is what CPN says. You're going to be ignored by the Juggalos if you're a family kid, and you keep saying you're a Juggalo, but you're not a fan of ICP. But this guy, Test Dummy 22, clearly states that he's a Juggalo, so of course he would listen to Twisted.
Yep.
But that wouldn't make him a Juggalo if he just listened to Twisted. With their newest album, and this guy actually talking on YouTube, he addressed Juggalos, Juggalettes, Techaninas, Technicians, and he also called out for abominations as people. Now, the fans of Twisted, they can call themselves whatever they want, but if someone gave them the title of being an abomination, maybe that'll catch.
Yep.
So maybe fans of Twisted would be abominations. Fans of Blaze would be, in a way of being deadheads. Blaze Dead Homie being, his gimmick being a dead guy who came back to life. Anybody killed would probably be Native Warriors or Hatchet Warriors because of his first album. So it's all name calling, really. It's all labeling, which a lot of Juggalos actually talk against. So what are your thoughts on the Juggalos and their unorganized thinking?
I would say that all the things like Twisted and all that, I haven't really heard much from. But, like I said, what I like, because you showed me some of the Twisted songs.
Yep.
But the ones that I like the most would still have to be the Insane Clown Posse out of all of the Psychopathic records and all that.
So in the eyes of society and, of course, the Juggalo family, that would make you a Juggalo. Not an abomination, not a deadhead, not any of these things. So, with a group like MS-13, now you had gangs down in Pennsylvania, correct?
Yes.
Can you tell us about the mentality about some of the gangs down there? What it was that made them so organized and made them a gang?
Well, like the Bloods, the Crips, they all fought over, I honestly think the gang mentality is stupid.
Right, but what exactly was it that made it gang-related, that made it a gang mentality, and how they were able to become a gang?
I think, honestly, I got no clue, but it's probably just a bunch of people that started hanging out and decided to call them something.
So, but they're organized in their thinking. They have the same beliefs. They follow the same one guy who's usually ahead of the clique.
Yeah.
But they are organized in their thinking. Now, how could the Juggalos be gang members with unorganized thinking? CPN believes one way. Test Dummy 22 believes one way. Boy Blue thinks this way. And the most unbiased that I've seen, the person who's actually up and just addressing news as news and sharing very little opinion, although he does in some of his videos, Big Irish.
Yep.
How come Big Irish is unbiased? Someone's talking about, it's still all about ICP being CPN. And Test Dummy 22 talking about the lack of creativity with ICP and the whole topic that we listened to today. How could that in any way, shape, or form lead people to an organized gang?
I honestly got no clue because, like I said, I like ICP, but I listen to dubstep most of the time. But just because I listen to dubstep, does that make me a gang member?
No, it doesn't.
With the millions of fans of dubstep, the millions of fans of heavy metal, hip-hop, rap, does that make them gang members?
Right, the maggots not being gang members because, they follow Slipknot. And as a matter of fact, I was actually discussing the story a while back. There was a police officer, an authoritative figure, who actually brought, and I did my research on this earlier, I said it was raccoon tails. No, it was the tails of a beaver that are illegal, and he brought them as a gift to Slipknot. Now, I don't think anyone from the Insane Clown Posse, or the Juggalos, or the fan bases of Psychopathic Records, or any of these guys, have actually brought ICP a tail that's illegal.
That's kind of like Ozzy Osbourne biting off the head of a bat.
And the whole story with that is he thought it was a prop. And it ended up fucking with his head later on. So it turned out to be a gag thing and whatnot, but they made references to it in Little Nicky. They do spoofs off of it. I think Saturday Night Live spoofed Ozzy, who's also spoofing ICP. And, people discuss, ICP and people get spoofed on SNL as being mocked. When really Weird Al Yankovic was doing an interview, and he said that the songs that he does parodies of, and the people that he parodies, he says that, they talk to the other people. And they say it's an honor. If Weird Al Yankovic does a parody for us, or does a parody of us,
yep,
it's an honor. It's being a roast, which is what SNL pretty much is. It's a Saturday night roast. Justin Timberlake, he roasted himself in one of the episodes. They got caught in a cave, and he goes, "I got an idea. Let's dance." And they danced, and the rocks were starting to move out of the way and shit. But if we were in fact a gang, we would have CPN and Test Dummy 22, and you and I all on the same page, correct? I mean, we'd have to have some sort of, or the ICP would have to be giving us orders, telling us what to do. They don't even tell us to get tattoos. They don't tell us to get the charms. As a matter of fact, they talk in the song The Unveiling. Don't buy our action figures, bitch. We don't give a fuck. It's not about Shaggy or Violent J. It's not about. They actually made it clear about Shangri-La. Which is interesting because Violent J believes in Shangri-La. He believes in heaven and hell. He believes in good and bad. And his friend, who also we look up to, Shaggy Tudo, is an atheist. So there could be even no way of them being a gang really together. I mean, they were the Inner City Posse for a while. But they didn't answer each other. I mean, the last I checked, it was just the two of them. So there wasn't like really Inner City Posse. It was like the Inner City Duo.
Yeah.
And you don't find real gang members and stuff like that are in a set of two. Normally it's like, anywhere between 50 to 500.
Yep.
I mean, MS-13 being one of the most dangerous gangs, now up there with the Bloods and the Crips. Now the Juggalos are on that same list.
Yeah, that doesn't honestly make any sense to me, how the FBI could do that.
Because there is no... We are unlike the MS-13, the Bloods and the Crips. Some of the Mexican cartels, which they've had on Gangland, a show that's on the History Channel.
Yeah.
Interesting show to have on the History Channel.
Yeah.
Some old guy sitting there watching, how it's made, or, the building of bridges, and all of a sudden you seeing some guys get shot up on the TV screen, falls over, and has a heart attack. Put a little disclaimer on those things, which they do. Viewer discretion is advised, but of course an old guy's going, huh? Type thing.
Viewer discretion is advised. Like you'd think some little kid would be watching How It's Made, and
right.
Then all of a sudden it goes to Gangland.
Yeah, but so with the Juggalos, they were actually mentioned on Gangland episode based in Chicago, and in the words when they were popping up like what are the gangs in the area, Insane Juggalos came up. Now that's a tiny group that call themselves the Insane Juggalos. But I've never met these guys. I've been to Chicago for maybe about 8 hours for a layover.
Yeah.
It's about the amount of time as I spent in Chicago, and I bumped into a couple of Juggalos down there, but they never said they were in a gang. So I could possibly unaware that I'm affiliated with a gang, but if I was part of the Insane Juggalos, I think the world would know it. I think right now I'd be doing videos with a bandana and having a gun to someone's head like they're a hostage. But, so... Obviously, the FBI has made a big mistake, just like, someone with a bank account would make a mistake with a few money errors and a couple of adding up.
Yep.
So, back to Test Dummy 22 and CPN. Test Dummy wanted to see Dayton Family, all these guys on a track, which they have done. It was called the Hatchet Family. I don't know if you remember that song, Hatchet Man?
Yep.
It represents the Hatchet Man, it gives you all these powers and stuff. Twisted was actually on there. But in Abominations, on the CD cover, I mean, minus the little Psychopathic Records label at the bottom of the CD, on the back, they were not wearing a single Hatchet Man charm. As a matter of fact, Monoxide Child's wearing a Misfits shirt. Now, they said in an interview that, it's just stupid. It's almost become like a racist bigotry thing, said Jamie Madrox in this interview. So, with Twisted feeling that way, and then them leaving, and then people who are saying I'm gonna be down until I'm dead in the ground, like CPM was talking about, and then all of a sudden leaving because we're gonna be we're out there to get killed and fucked with, and we're being called names and we're going through all this bullshit. I really don't think it's that big of a deal. Do you?
Nope.
I mean, it sucks that we're on the FBI's list, but in hindsight, do you think that maybe there could be a little bit more to what's going on behind the scenes you know, like it could be an error in someone's reading. They could be just the insane juggalos on this gang list, not fans of ICP. Because the last time something like this happened was the Deadheads in the 60s when, you know, they were labeled as a terrorist organization because they sat down and smoked pot and, you know, did acid. It's not a very functional terrorist.
Mm-mm.
You know, when they're seeing a fucking bumblebee and it's roaring at them, it's got like 600 teeth, they're running. Not very intimidating for a terrorist group. A Haji's more, you know, threatening than that. It's not even just the way they talk, man. I mean, it's their threats. It's their hostage videos that they release and stuff like that. I mean, these guys are serious. These are suicide bombers and shit. You'd think the FBI would be more interested in, you know, Osama bin Laden's number 2 son, number 10 son, and Saddam Hussein's second cousin, third's wife's uncle. But no, they want to pick on, even like the youngest kid. There's this girl who I was talking to. I asked her how she got into music and stuff like that. She's 16. And she said she was over at a friend's house listening to it, and the first CD she actually listened to was Mighty Death Pop. So the kids who came out around the Wraith era, now that's actually when the term Juggalette came up. And when Juggalette came up, the female Juggalos, there was never just Juggalettes. So there's been like, you know, impressions that, you know, Juggalette actually translates to whore. That's what they are. Other people would say it's this and that. But things can come out of the Mighty Death Pop era like that. And we won't see it until 5 years from now when we look back and go, oh yeah, no, that all started with Mighty Death Pop. But now Joe Bruce, Violent J, has skin cancer, and people are talking about, you know, how they're canceling the Mighty Death Pop tour and things like that. So what happens when ICP fades, goes away, they stop doing shows, and the only thing they're doing is pretty much the gathering, and Violent J was talking about, you know, he was worried about gatherings getting raided and shit like that by the FBI.
Yeah.
What happens when they go away? Are Juggalos still going to be around? Because we still have Deadheads.
And we still have all the music.
Are they still going to be considered a gang? And especially, I mean, you think it's chaotic right now with this unorganized gang, as in the FBI's perspective, loses its leaders. Someone's got to take stage. Does it become more of a threat? Or does it become something where they go, Violent J's gone, Shaggy Two Dope left. What's next?
Yeah.
Your thoughts on all this?
I just honestly think it's retarded.
Well, it's unintelligent what the FBI is doing, but CPN and Test Dummy 22, and you know, there's Test Dummy 22 talks about, you know, how he's juggling this and that, and you know how he kind of got away from some of the music and stuff when he didn't count them as Joker cards. And then CPN saying, you know, if ICP says it, and you're going to sit there and believe everything they're saying, you know, it's an oxymoron if you don't. Like, you're sitting there quoting Violent J on this. He's talking with Violent J saying, no, you don't have to be this and that to be a juggalo. It's an oxymoron. You know, obviously, if you're going to hold Joe Bruce at that bit of a height, you're obviously a follower and a listener.
Yep.
But you know, he's like, you know, I'm gonna be down until I'm dead in the ground until they come out with a really shitty CD, and then I'm just gonna stop listening to you. That's not what it was. It was I'll be down with the clown no matter what. But then he's talking about how some of the songs, to Test Dummy 22, is talking about some of the songs that actually did not impress him. And how he did not consider them Joker cards, even though Joe Bruce calls them Joker cards. I mean, that's what he said. It's the second deck. And the second card has already come and gone. So now they're going to work on the third, the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth, which is going to be the Wraith pretty much all over again, except it's going to have different songs and a whole different message. And the Wraith is going to look different. And it won't even be the Wraith. It's just going to be another form of death.
Yep.
Does this make any sense to you whatsoever? Someone who's just gotten into it, say, you know, Bang Pow Boom era because of, you know, Juggalo Island. You know, some people even said they stopped listening to ICP and they used to be a Juggalo and they're not anymore because of Juggalo Island. But what is it that you personally liked about Juggalo Island?
Just about how all of them getting together, having a good time.
And, you know, that appeased to you. How about the song Miracles, which got a lot of bad rep with a lot of the Juggalos?
I actually liked Miracles.
What was it about Miracles that you liked?
It's just about them opening up their eyes and seeing the world for what it really is instead of all of this death and hate.
Now, you've heard the song It's All Over, right?
Yes.
And that was actually on the nuclear edition of Bang Pow Boom. That wasn't on the original release of any of the three Bang Pow Booms. Blue, Red, and Green is what it was. And your thoughts on It's All Over? Because on Juggalo News, when they released that music video, there was a bunch of people hating on it. They're like, you know, no, where's the wicked shit? Where's this? Where's that? And what are your thoughts on It's All Over?
I haven't heard it that much. I only heard it once or twice a while ago, so I couldn't really remember the lyrics.
To refer to holy fuck, it's hot outside. The sun is hot. It's hotter than it's ever got. You know, he talks about like the end of the world and how people some people will freak out and end their wives. Others will hold their wives. Me, I'm at the roof of my house. And I scream out and shout, hey, it's all over.
Oh yeah, kind of like with this whole December 21st, 2012. Me and you were talking about if it's really gonna end.
We're gonna fucking party.
We're gonna throw a party.
Which a lot of people are probably talking about. Some people even went to the Club 550 uptown and hung out, and they someone even wrote up I was here on 12/21/12 and 12/12/12 whatever. But my question for you is this: now it's all over. He was talking about the seeing it end is second best to seeing it begin. So he's talking about how he's not gonna feel bad about the chaos and stuff like that. In 2012, if it would have happened, I'm pretty sure people would have called it bang pow boom.
Yep.
But it didn't happen. So, and nor did people have hallucinations of Malenko and stuff like that. These were just pretty much the word for it being like can't even think of the word right now. It's almost like a comparison, a metaphor.
Yep.
Of things like you're going through a psychotic break. You're willing to do anything for this girl, but it's an illusion. She's temporary. It's talking about getting to the bigger picture. Everything that we're doing right now is temporary. There's going to be something better at the end of it, just like the Christians talked about in the Bible with Jesus and Moses, who led people in the desert for 70 years, something ridiculous. And so they've actually got kind of a cult following, and this thing came out a while back called Juggaloism, which actually became a religion thing, which actually isn't all that talked about on YouTube. People talk about Juggaloism versus Christianity, but it was very short-lived. And I think what actually ended up killing that was, in fact, the family Juggalo thing and stuff like that.
Yep.
So my whole thing on it is pretty much I'm not too worried about it. I'm not too concerned about the Juggaloism thing. I'm not, Violent J believing and Shake Toot Up Not, but I'm saying this is a sign that it's not organized.
Yep.
People will have their decisions in listening to music and stuff like that. Listening to dubstep, and you can honestly say, being a dubstep fan, what goes on at those shows?
I mean, it's just like a big party with music.
But there's people doing drugs.
Yeah.
But
that has to do with like any kind of concert. You go to any concert, there's the mosh pits, there's people doing drugs.
Right. Well, so these guys are doing that. These guys are doing drugs. Fights must break out at some point.
Yep.
There's violent acts at these things. And dubstep people, there's probably minor gang things like the Insane Juggalos in Chicago with dubstep. Have you heard of gang members listening to dubstep at all? None? What do the dubstep fans call themselves? Do they have a name?
Nope.
Just dubstep fans.
Yep.
Not like, dubbies or Skrillexes or Skrillies, nothing?
Nope.
Interesting. So fans of dubstep are just fans of dubstep. Yep. Skrillex, Deadmau5. These groups, these bands, where the same activity happens at these shows. Now, is dubstep the only show you've been to?
The only one I've been to is the Skrillex one.
You've never been to another show of any other kind of music?
Nope.
But would you assume that people who go and listen to Lady Gaga, that they'll sit down and smoke a joint? I know people, when they're listening to Grateful Dead, they were, like I said, popping acid and, ecstasy, smoking dope. It happens at the gatherings. As a matter of fact, it's on the DVD that we watch,
Yeah.
Juggalo Family. And it was all over the place. I mean, there was this girl, acid $5 on that cardboard sign. But this happens all over the place.
Yep.
But do you see anything of the Juggalos that makes it more gang-related than dubstep fans?
Nope.
Interesting.
I see it all the same. Everybody has a fan of their own type of music. I don't think that anybody should be classified as a gang member for the type of music they listen to.
And the Juggalos versus the family kids and all this and that, with different opinions and views, are they still all fans of ICP?
Yep.
And so they'd all still be Juggalos, and they should all be treated fairly and equally as ICP has clearly preached.
Yep, like you said, with Slipknot and the Maggots.
Right. The Maggots, they don't have like their own whoop whoop or anything, I don't think, but maybe they walk up to each other and growl. It's pretty much, what was their famous CD? Iowa. It was like their self-titled album or whatever, or was there one before then?
I don't remember. I don't
Nor
listen to
do
much
I.
Slipknot.
I don't blame you. Shit's horrible for you. But so, from juggalos to juggalo families to family kids to dubstep, it's all pretty much the same. You know, the family kids gave themselves the 13 commandments. Do you guys have any rules or anything like that in dubstep?
Nope.
None? So you think that maybe the family kids have taken it a little too far? You know, let's get along with everybody. You know, we should all look out for each other.
I don't think they've gone too far.
It's a good idea in hindsight, right?
I mean, like, everybody's got their own friends. People watch each other's back. It doesn't make them a gang member.
Say you saw a kid with an ICP t-shirt getting picked on, attacked, or whatever. Would you step in?
Yeah.
So obviously someone who listens to the same music and sees that, and this person could be a juffaho, a juggaho, a juffalo, whatever you want to call this person who may or may not be a legit juggalo, who could be a family kid. You think they would be the first one to step in before anyone else? You think you'd gotten pushed out of the way so they can get there first?
Nope.
No? You'd been there just as well as anyone else would have been. Especially somebody who's wearing an ICP t-shirt and they see someone else getting attacked with an ICP t-shirt.
Yep.
So it's human compassion.
Yep.
Interesting. All right, Whitey. Thanks for being on the show.
You're welcome.
All right.
Peace
Take
out,
care.
guys.